types of financial fines and the like. So we're very, very pleased with it. We are also prepared to go forward with whatever appellate challenges come. We feel that there was a very well-reasoned and solid order rendered by the court that'll be reduced to writing as time goes pretty quickly over the weekend and Monday. But we feel very confident with that, and we're happy to defend that appellate challenge. And we feel that the appellate challenge would probably not be fruitful, but we're here to defend it and standing with kids continually. So with that said, if anyone wants to begin questions of plaintiffs or counsel, maybe just pop your hand up and then we can go that route, or speak up if you're on screen too. Let's start with any questions for maybe plaintiff Amy Nell. Anyone have questions for her specifically?
Charles, there are questions in the chat.
Well, that will be helpful. Thank you. So, question from Steve King to everybody. The question is for Leslie. What's your personal reaction to today's ruling? Leslie, and you're on mute, Leslie.
Okay. Hi. Hi, Steve. Hi, everyone. I'm elated. I am elated by this ruling because the judge clearly went on the side of science, medicine, and our children and democracy. So I'm elated.
And a question from Haley Bull to everyone generally, and speaking to the parents generally. For parents involved, what does the ruling mean for you? I'm going to try that first, Amy.
Sorry. I think it means that everybody has both their personal liberties protected, but also we recognize that there's a greater community good to be served by taking all of this into account and not just the personal liberties aspect. Because if we focus solely on that, then once those liberties start infringing on somebody else, then that person then has an issue. So the fact that the judge really emphasized the greater community good, I think, was a really good takeaway.
Mayor's thoughts on that as well?
I feel a tremendous amount of relief. I know that our county, when we didn't have a mask mandate, saw a tremendous amount of positivity rating, high positivity rating. Lots of schools were risking being closed. And I know it's really important for our kids to be in school and for their social reasons, educational reasons, and also emotional. And it takes a huge toll on them when it's a lot of in and out and things like that. And so I'm relieved that now we can have measures in place for our kids to stay in school and to stay safe, and same for our teachers.
Thoughts on the same question? Kristen, what's this ruling mean to you?
Yeah, so I was really excited to hear the ruling. I think that the judge was very thorough in his response. I actually just got finished listening to the recorded audio not too long ago. So I'm still digesting everything, but as many know, our county had already enacted a mask mandate. And I think this just gives them the backup and the support that they needed to continue to do the right thing. And they knew that what they were doing was the right thing all along, but now they just have the support of the judicial system.
And so it might be a good idea to continue the method of adding questions to the chat, because it might be tough to see hands raised and such. So a question from John Kennedy. Everyone, are you aware of any school boards poised to enact mask mandates in the wake of today's ruling? Do you expect at least several more to follow too soon? John Kennedy from USA Today, Gannett. Greg, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to touch on that. I know, like I said, our school district already has a mask mandate. However, there was several board members who were very nervous and apprehensive to go against the governor of Florida. So I feel like there probably will be school board members who maybe were concerned about getting into a legal fight with the governor in the state of Florida who may not have those concerns any longer.
Greg, thoughts on the possibility of other school boards acting?
I think the important thing here for everyone is that I'm sure some will, and I'm sure some won't. But the important thing is that we put back in place their discretion to be able to make the decisions they need to. There may be some districts that decide to put in a mask policy with a voluntary opt-out, and that's perfectly fine. The issue here was when they were told they couldn't do something to keep students safe. That's a problem. And at the very least, any district now that wants to put in place a policy that doesn't have a voluntary opt-out provision will be able to do so to keep their schools safe.
Question from Jeff, I believe. What will happen during the appeal? The order will be held in advance. Let's speak to that. I'm happy to. We're going to have any of the attorneys.
Yeah, I can speak to that if you want me to, Charles.
Please, yes.
Once Judge Cooper signs his order, that will trigger any appellate rights that the governor, the education commissioner may have. Once they file their notice of appeal under Florida's appellate rules, the government gets an automatic stay. So the case will be held in abeyance while that automatic stay is in effect. Now, under those same rules, the trial judge has the authority to vacate the stay. So we would have to file a motion to vacate the stay with Judge Cooper, another motion there. There would probably be another hearing. He could rule on that without a motion, but should he choose to vacate the stay, it would go back into effect, but then it would go back to the appellate court again, and the appellate court could actually vacate his vacation of the stay and reinstate the automatic stay. So there's several things that can happen on that, but the government does get an automatic stay, which can be vacated by the trial court, and the appellate court can overrule the trial judge's vacation of the stay.
So question from Terry Spencer from AP for the lawyers. The appellate court and Supreme Court are all dominated by Republican appointed members. Does this cause concern with Judge Cooper's ruling will be upheld?
I'll take
How about Aaron Williams on that question?
No, it does not concern us. Not at all. We have the facts on our side. We have the law on our side. We're confident with this Judge Cooper's ruling that any decision that he made was made thoughtfully pursuant to the facts presented in front of him, the law, and we're confident that it will be upheld.
And I would just add to Aaron's comments, the interesting part for, I think, lawyers and the public and the media is that the legislation passed by our current Republican-dominated legislature, the Parents' Bill of Rights, was what ultimately drove Judge Cooper to make that decision. So that being said, I think we certainly have a conservative leaning legislature, but that legislation is ultimately what saved the mask mandates. Additionally, as far as the Supreme and Appellate Court go in terms of, the political nature, I think we all have faith in the appellate court, regardless of the political affiliations of the judges in the appellate court or the justices on the Supreme Court. I think we have faith in the system after today. And I know I personally trust that our appointed and elected officials will do what's right for kids. And Judge Cooper, I think, renewed everybody's faith in that today.
So from Marina Parnell, question is, for parents involved, have your school districts been supportive of your push to get rid of the mask mandate ban? What's it been like interacting with parents on the other side of the issue in your areas? Let's start off with Leslie again.
Well, we're in Palm Beach County, and thankfully they instituted the mask mandate as of this past week. So we were lucky enough to have that behind us. But now to have this ruling, it's also, it just affirms what they've done is the right decision. I have not personally interacted with any anti-mask parents. I don't want to. My involvement in this case is my activism, and I don't want to get involved with the other side. But I've received emails from teachers at the school on the down low thanking me for speaking up because they've had a hard time getting things accomplished. So it's been really supportive on my end, and I'm thrilled.
Kristen, you want to speak to the same question?
Sure. I haven't directly gotten support from the school board members. I have tried to them like on Facebook and directly. And I think for the most part, all of our school board members are, in line with the process here that we were going for. I mean, none of them have specifically supported me specifically, but their actions and how they're voting and our superintendent with the policies that they've implemented kind of speak for itself.
How about the same question, Damaris?
I think our district in general is divided, right? Like our leadership is divided on where they stand on this issue. However, ultimately, the majority of our school board did end up voting for a mask mandate. And especially those members who voted in favor of a mandate have been incredibly supportive. My phone has been blowing up with thank you texts from the work doing with this. And then also forming an advocacy group that has been directly in contact with school board members, encouraging them along the way and asking them for mask mandates and things like that to keep our students safe. So I think in that way, it's been really helpful. As far as interacting with anti-maskers, unfortunately, I've had some unpleasant encounters with them at school board meetings. They tend to be very confrontational and loud and challenging and so that has been very interesting. I've been very disappointed to see how aggressive they have been in their stance, because if it really is about personal choice, I should be allowed to have my choice to wear a mask as well as you having your choice not to. So that was very interesting to experience that as well.
Amy, how about yourself?
Damaris and I are in the same school district, so I've seen a lot of the same things that she's seen. I know that one of our school board members has been really advocating for these mask mandates, and we really appreciate her advocacy. And the rest, I know we're very supportive as well, but we're also very concerned with the funding issue because Hillsborough has been going through a lot of funding issues over the last year generally. And obviously their concern is, how our kids are being educated and whether or not they have the funding to do what they need. So I know that they felt that their hands were tied, but they knew the right choice to make. Ultimately, I think they made the right choice. So I'm hoping that this ruling today just gives them the confidence to, move forward with that.
I'm going to call on Natalie now to speak to the incredibly accelerated pace here of the emergency hearing and the time frames involved. So Natalie, if you would speak to just how fast things happened from, filing to trial date.
Sure. This was unbelievable, to just summarize it in one word. Not only on the attorney's parts to put all of the blood, sweat, and tears into, sacrificing personal and professional time to take this case pro bono, including, the doctors that helped us all out. And, another thing that you have to think about too is the judge in this case, he gave us an extremely thorough opinion and ruling on this that we're going to be working on all weekend to translate into a proposed order. Judges hear all types of cases. That's, you bring this case and, you don't expect your judge to be an expert. But it's truly amazing how much time and effort he put into understanding the case and how thorough he was in making his ruling. So it's super impressive, and I'm so honored to work with the rest of these attorneys on this case.
I'm going to go ahead and pivot to Aaron Willems. Talk a little bit about fighting this fight at a point in time where you personally had COVID yourself.
Thanks, Charles. Yes, surprising to say the least, ironic, no doubt, that I ended up catching COVID from my preschooler. His school, unfortunately, followed the school district's optional mask And so not every teacher was wearing masks, and there was an outbreak at the preschool. My child got COVID, and my preschooler passed it on to me. So yes, it was very interesting to try a case regarding mask mandates when I myself had COVID and my child caught COVID. So it was definitely a challenge. I did have to log off on Tuesday to go get myself an antibody infusion, but I was watching and providing insight from behind the scenes, and I'm feeling better and ready to get started on this order.
Aaron Barnett, can you speak to a little bit about the behind the scenes trial prep, what's involved in the 18-hour days and basically putting your life on pause so folks can get a little bit of understanding about the context of trial prep and trial prep in this short of a period?
Sure. All of us and everybody on this feed are trial attorneys, and we're used to doing trials mostly in person and not on a screen. But to do a trial of 3.5 days with a ruling on the fifth day in less than a month is just first time I've ever experienced it. I hope I never have to do it again. Thankfully, my law partner, Aaron Woolhams, was agreeable to letting us literally put our practices on hold to devote all of our time, along with all these other litigators, for the past couple of weeks. And every day, you all would see us in these little boxes during the trial. The trial would end, we'd have dinner, and then we would work on the hearing and do 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night litigation team meetings, and then we'd start again the next morning. And so it's been a whirlwind for us. We're in putting this on this quickly, but I'm super grateful that we had Judge Cooper, who was willing to do it and to do it this quickly and to put his cases aside. Otherwise, this could have been an even bigger nightmare. But I think there also was a lot amongst the team, the plaintiffs reaching out to doctors, people that we knew who might know doctors, to try to get people and experts and our medical professionals to come in and volunteer their time giving their medical opinions to the court. It has been an absolute honor to have served with all of you all in this cause.
Charles, do you mind if I sort of dovetail off of that for a moment?
Yes.
Just sort of a moment of praise for everyone involved in this case, including our experts and our parents, of course. I don't have children, and I'm actually not even practicing law right now. I'm in graduate school. So I sort of was, pulled out of my little academia bubble and brought into this. And to see these attorneys with kids, with COVID, with this, these busy practices take this much time aside. We're talking, I think he probably worked like 22-hour days. To be able to accomplish what he's done in the period of time that he did, he must have had to work 22 hours a day, no joke. But to see how much all of these attorneys and parents were willing to sacrifice. Kristen Thompson was my witness, and that woman was working up until, I think, 2 minutes before she was ready to testify. So as somebody who hasn't practiced in a little while, but, was driven by the passion, the commitment, I'm getting a little emotional. It's just inspiring, and it made me happy to be back in legal practice, at least for a little bit. I mean, you guys are really amazing people, all of you.
So I know Josh is out of gas, so I'll ask him another lengthy question. But could you speak to the challenge of pulling together medical experts, medical data, and essentially reading through probably 3,000 or 4,000 pages of medical journal reports and medical journal studies over the course of this week? Speak to that challenge and how you were able to best the challenge.
I think Dr. Kreisman's testimony, both in his direct and his rebuttal, was very telling. But, he said to me personally and on the record that, they're just tired. These medical professionals are tired. The nurses are exhausted. The hospitals are bursting at the seams. And so they're literally in the trenches all day long dealing with people. And you've seen the numbers in the headlines about what ratio it is of people who are vaccinated, unvaccinated. that they're dealing with, and they're working whatever their shifts are. And then at night, I mean, literally every night we send them like, here, read these 4 studies, read this Danish study, read this Georgia study, read this California study. And they would read it and have opinions on it. And, you know, it's a very divisive topic. So, you know, I would understand why certain doctors, especially in private practice, wouldn't want to kind of throw their hat in the ring and kind of, you know, become a lightning rod for this issue. But I respect those that didn't want to testify, but you know, there's so many heroes here between the parents, the legal team, the families who kind of allowed us to kind of carve this time out, but those doctors and physicians, the ones who actually practice medicine, very, very proud of them.
I wanted to add kudos to that too. The list of doctors who were willing to throw their hat in the ring and speak to defend children was a whole lot shorter than the list of doctors who opted to stay away from the controversy of it. So we are just, again, so thankful for the doctors that stepped forward and were able to advise the court of some really important issues on medical issues. I'm going to give Craig the next question from Jeff. Is there any concern that the judge did not support the constitutional challenges for local board control in safe schools and environment? What does that mean in terms of school board's relationship to the state level government? All yours, Craig.
Thank you, Charles. So, if I'm understanding your question correctly, what did it mean that the judge did not grant relief on our counts 1 and 2, which were based upon the constitutional provision of a safe school and the constitutional authority to a school board? I think the judge was pretty clear. Count 1 is a challenge. It really is on an intellectual level to resolve what does the word safe really mean. And the first DCA had given a lot of guidance that it may not be appropriate for courts to weigh in too deeply into questions of ambiguity. I wasn't tremendously shocked with that ruling. I think we did give him an option if he wanted to be very bold with it to say, well, I don't know what safe is, but I know what unsafe is. But that was a long shot, and we knew that kind of going in. The other one, I think largely he did that to protect school boards and to not create a bright line between the two realms of state authority and local authority. And I think that probably is for the betterment of all of our local education. A bright line rule can become problematic, and having some flexibility there is important. So I don't think in terms of the school board's relationships to the state level that we're going to see any real changes. What we did hear, though, was from Chancellor Oliva, how proud the state school board was of how innovative all of the school districts have been for the last year and a half. And I think really and truly what we've done is we've unencumbered them from continuing to be truly innovative and effective for our children without kind of this oppressive view of a very minority view that happens to be held by our governor. I don't know any educator who isn't fully invested truly in the well-being of kids. Nobody's going into public education in Florida without a true desire to do right by children. And I think we've made sure that now the school boards can do exactly what they set out to do. And we've given kids and the school faculty and staff the environment to do that safely and effectively.
Turn to Maria to talk a little bit about the distinction between the experts that were presented for the plaintiffs and then the one expert that was offered by the defendant. If you would, Maria, speak a little bit to the distinction of those two trains of thought in that testimony and what you believe the court ultimately found to be most compelling.
I think at the end of the day, Charles, when we look at our experts and when we look at the defense's experts, I'm kind of mirroring what Josh said a little bit. Our experts are practicing medicine here in Florida, are dealing with the patients here in the state of Florida. One of the, if you will, thought processes of the governor has always been, you know, what we do in Florida is what we do in Florida. However, his expert was a Stanford professor who had never had any patients and never practiced any medicine in the state of Florida. And I think that distinction is incredibly important. In addition to the fact of all the statistics and all the rising and climbing COVID cases that we have in the state of Florida, our case really focused on our state.
Yeah, a question from Miranda Parnell, maybe see if Judge Dodson can field that one. The spokesperson for the Florida Department of Education said they were immensely disappointed in the ruling. hearing that, what's next for you all, and what, if any, kind of pushback are you anticipating?
Well, we certainly are anticipating an appeal. And we'll just have to cross that bridge there. I'm sure they're disappointed. When you are not the prevailing party in a lawsuit, you're always disappointed. And we fully expect them to appeal. So to the extent that's pushback, we certainly expect pushback in that regard.
I'm gonna go ahead and pivot now to our parents again, and I'll kind of pose the same question to everybody. What is the one thing you took most from the judge's ruling, and you think that most resonates? Let's go, Amy, first.
Putting me on the hot seat.
All right.
I just really felt heard for the first time in a while, because it's since the beginning of the school year, it's felt like bizarro world. We're being told that science isn't what we think it is, and everything we know about viruses is suddenly maybe not true. So my takeaway was that he was very thoughtful with how he proceeded in the case, the evidence he let in. He considered everything, and his findings were just very well reasoned. I was really impressed.
Leslie, same question. What was the one thing you took most from trial in terms of a sentiment?
What Amy said, actually. I mean, you got to a point during this argument that we were the ones that were crazy when we were the majority, and then he validated our points. And it's just, it was madness that we even had to sue the governor to get to this place. But I mean, we did, and we prevailed, and thankfully the facts mattered.
Damaris, how about yourself?
I would have to agree with both of them, right? I think to me, the most important takeaway was that my rights as a parent matter too, and not just the very loud, very small minority of parents who did not want masks in school. And so I think his understanding of the Parental Bill of Rights was really, really important. And I'm glad he explained it in the way he did.
Kristen, how about yourself?
Yeah, kind of what everybody has said. I'll reiterate. I feel like it was funny because when I read the Bill of Rights myself, I was kind of like, well, what about this? So I just felt really validated that he kind of went along the same thought process that I had already been thinking. But you know, I'm personally sick and tired of people playing politics with my child's life, and I feel like he understood that and got it, and he ruled that way. I'm really like the other one said, I feel heard. I'm happy that he really tried to take the politics out of it and put a really thoughtful, thorough, well responded to ruling out there.
Partially in jest, partially not, but I'm gonna put Josh on the spot again and ask him, how will it be to be able to sleep a full night without working in the middle of the night? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
You're giving me too much credit. I kind of just, did most of the winging it of the group. You guys were the ones who were, having actually intellectual conversations while I was sending gifs and memes and everything. But I'll sleep well tonight. I've done this job for 20 years, and so I know that this is not the end of the story. There's going to be more to this story, but we definitely prevailed today, and so that's going to be enough to get me through the weekend, and then we'll start back at it on Monday. I know the girls in this group have already started writing the order, which blows my mind because I can't think of something I'd want to do less than that right now. But these are hardworking attorneys. I mean, these are really amazing people that did this. This legal team is amazing. And sorry about my son. He's unhappy that I'm not playing with him.
I'm going to go ahead and pivot to Craig for 1 second. Craig, what gave you your motivation for the close?
So early on in my career, I worked pretty closely on a lot of children's rights and human rights work. And I moved away from that over time, but it's always kind of been a deeply rooted part of what I was compelled to do. This was a case where I really felt that the law was so obvious. And it's not always that the law is obvious and comports to common sense. I think any lawyer will tell you that it's pretty common to find a legal position that defies common sense. But in this instance, looking at it, it was so atrocious what the governor was doing. I've maintained from the onset of this case that I really think the path that he took showed evidence of some cowardice of his confidence in the Parents' Bill of Rights. If he really believed in that law and believed that it could accomplish what he had set out to do with his executive order, he would have allowed it to happen the way laws usually go into effect. He circumvented the process, he shorted the due process rights of school boards, and he did it at the expense of children. And in the back of my mind, I can't help but think that this is someone who also has aspirations of higher office. So my motivation here was that when there's a bully in the room that's beating up on children, it shouldn't take more than a few people to stand up. And I'm glad that an army did. And I'm glad I could play some small part of that. But someone has to tell the bully to put down his stick and go home. And I think we did that. And I think Judge Cooper added an exclamation point on that directive today.
And Craig, let me follow up on that. I've probably heard 1,000 closing arguments in my career. Without a doubt, yours was truly right up there at the top, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question for another parent question. I'll go through the parents. So with Damaris, have you been able to tell your kids you prevailed, and what was their reaction?
Not, because he is still at school, but I can tell you that when we got the mask mandate for our county, he screamed yes, and finally science wins. So that's usually his reaction.
Leslie, how about you? Have you had time to spread the good news? What was the response?
They're on their way home from school. I can't wait to tell them, but my son said to me this morning, "You're getting in good trouble." So
Amy, how about yourself?
Well, he's creeping in the back here. He came home just a little while ago, and I said, "Do you remember that case that I told you about?" Oh, he's a floating head. I said, "Do you remember the case?" And I told him that we won, and he was pretty excited. There was some dancing.
Very, very good. Kristen, how about you?
Yeah, so I think everybody knows now that Peyton has developmental delays and stuff, so I don't think she quite understands what's going on. But I did speak to some other parents. I've just been coming across throughout the day, and a lot of them have been saying, "Thank you, I'm so relieved." So I've been getting a lot of really good feedback. I've been having people reach out to me from other parts of the country, other parts of the state. I don't even know them. And telling us thank you that for participating and doing this. So I don't know. I know Peyton doesn't understand, but I hope she would be proud and happy that we're doing everything that we can, and that we have all the people here. I mean, like all these attorneys just giving their time. I hope she would, and I know she would be proud of it and what we've done.
My high schooler thinks it's super cool. I told him sometimes you have to stand up and do what's right to the people in power and protect those that can't do it themselves. And that's exactly what we did.
So I'm going to put Aaron Williams back on the stand. Just for everybody's edification, can you clarify whether or not the entirety of the team here, whether it's expert or attorney, is entirely pro bono?
Yes, we are all pro bono. Not one of us is getting paid. None of our experts got paid. None of the attorneys are getting paid. No, it's all pro bono. All of it's for free. This is all our personal time.
And better to that than we're eating our own hard costs as well. So
we're just talking about the plaintiffs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Very important distinction. Very important distinction. So yes. So and I'll speak to that for 1 second too. Is that when we approach the doctors, to assist us, no one even asked about it. It was all just inferred. They knew this was a fight that had to be fought, and we're just, we are almost embarrassed by the riches that were bestowed upon us and the resources. And I mean, Judge Dodson out of the box. I mean, we were just so fortunate all the way around to have folks help us. And I want to say a special thanks to those who are behind the scenes too. So a lot of folks were helping us who really couldn't help us in official contexts, but rendered aid from behind the scenes. And the amount of folks that we've had do little things, big things, everything in between. We wouldn't be here right now if it weren't for those folks who gave of their time, of the resources, Saturday, Sunday, late night calls, everything and anything has been, it's just been extremely, extremely humbling to have those folks assist like they have.
We do need to send a thank you to Peyton Donald, too, one of our parents who's not on here today, but he and his business and his team have been extremely helpful in giving of their time to assist us behind the scenes as well.
And everybody, it's really cool to know that you're on the right side of progress when you have people calling and emailing and trying to reach out to you at all hours of the day to say, how can I help? What can I do? I want to be there to do whatever you need.
I actually had a doctor, and he or she shall remain unnamed, down in Sarasota County, a very highly respected doctor in Sarasota, that was messaging me on Facebook to help answer some medical questions that I wasn't quite understanding, or to give us a case, or to give us a news report from another county. I mean, that's how much, doctors and all the experts and attorneys and everyone are invested in this case. And I think it speaks volumes. And I hope Governor DeSantis hears that.
And we were fortunate to have doctors that couldn't get approval from their institutions that still wanted to go ahead and give us their tips and behind the scenes assistance. Just again, abundantly grateful to those folks who helped out and to get us where we're at. So any more questions from our media? If you want to chime in and ask, feel free, or type in. If not, we can begin to close things down.
I'll add one final comment to it, at least from my view of it. One is the incredible amount of effort it took for our families and our business partners for us to do this windmill tilting. I don't think any of us could have done it without a huge amount of support behind us. I also love the fact that we all sort of knew of each other out of the legal team. Tracy and I have known each other the longest out of anybody else that I know, and shy of that with Charles. But otherwise, I only knew the rest of the attorneys kind of by general reputation, maybe the occasional Facebook comment on something that Josh put up. And it's been truly remarkable to work together. Part of me is so thankful that this is over. But I'm really going to miss the work, and I'm hoping we can find another windmill to tilt at, because it's been truly one of the best experiences I've had professionally working together.
I have cases against half of you right now, so I'm looking forward to mixing it up again.
You're going down, Josh.
Yep.
So I want to, without getting Aaron into much trouble, Aaron Willems, if you would, maybe want to delve into our internal workings and share our affectionately referred to name for our team, if you would. Hashtag team.
We are Team Hiccup.
Where did that
So
come from?
you thought things were going smoothly, but then we came onto the scene, filed our suit, and we are Team Hiccup. We're causing your hiccups.
And where did that originate from, if you would, just for everybody's context?
Oh, I can't recall the exact. I believe there was a statement that was made.
A certain press conference maybe about a forthcoming lawsuit?
Yes, and I believe it was just dismissed as, oh, that's just going to be a hiccup, not a big deal. But clearly it is, and it's become one.
So without any more requests from the media, we will go ahead and close it down, but I'll give it another minute or so if anybody wants to chime in either verbally or on the chat bar, one or the other. So
I just want to thank you guys for actually taking action, taking our complaints and bringing them to the table. I mean, it was amazing. It gave me the chills. Like, I just got the chills because I've been railing on Twitter, screaming, someone help us. And you did. You helped us. So thank you all.
But we want to thank you. It takes.
Do we
great-
thank the other parents too that weren't able to testify? I mean, they were a part of this in the beginning. I think we should give them
Absolutely,
some praise.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And so we're so fortunate to have other parents, and I'll go ahead and make sure I'm not missing any names. But we started the case out with Robin McCarthy and John McCarthy. There ended up being an issue where they were part of the other case too. Allison Scott out of Orlando, thanks so much. We had, of course, Aaron Dooley out of the Tampa area too. Thank you as much as well. Patience Burke, as well as Peyton Donald and Tracy Donald. So again, just because they didn't testify didn't mean they weren't part of the process, and they were integral in bringing us to a point where we could prevail in the end. So immense thanks to our plaintiffs, to our parents who stood for what's right. And again, without you, we wouldn't be here either.
And Charles, I think you of everyone
no.
needs to get,
No.
It's uncomfortable, but this man has dedicated more hours of his life to this case than I think I've ever dedicated to maybe any.
Our team effort. Don't even start with me.
He's the glue.
Don't even start.
He was answering my dumb questions 24 hours a day, texting, responding to emails, working. He's got his own family, and bravo, sir.
It's entirely a team effort, and everybody is as important as every other team member. Think of me as a George Costanza of a team if you want. So, all right.
Thanks, guys.
I see no more questions. So let's give the last 30 seconds or so. If anybody, feel free to chime in verbally or on the chat bar. Otherwise, in a minute or so, we'll probably go ahead and end the conference. So, thank everybody here for appearing. Thank everybody for making time today on a fairly busy day. We appreciate it, and we look forward to chat with you all in the future. If any of the media want to talk to parents or part of the team independently, directly, feel free. You can reach out to me or any one of the team members and speak to them a little bit more about the case. And we thank everyone for tuning today. All the best. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
Take care.
great job, guys.
You.